Who would have a four-dimensional world? But what exactly is the fourth dimension? In order to understand this, we need to understand how dimensions are perceived.
He appeared once as a high school student with a webcam and an unsettling clarity that felt far beyond his years, speaking calmly from a dim room about the fourth dimension and making an abstract mystery feel strangely human. Millions watched, shared, and wondered, until the upload stopped and silence replaced curiosity. Years later, he returned older and visibly changed, not with revelations, but with a presence that felt heavier. Who was this boy, and why did his explanation linger so deeply in the minds of those who watched? To answer that, we have to return to where it all began. The kid who spoke beyond dimensions. When the video first appeared in 2010, it didn't look like much, just a teenager in a hoodie, sitting cross-legged in a bedroom lit by a desk lamp, speaking softly into a built-in webcam. No special effects, no background music. Yet within minutes of watching, viewers realized they weren't just hearing a science project. They were witnessing a kind of quiet genius unfold. He spoke about Flatland, a world of geometric shapes who couldn't perceive height. He guided the audience to imagine life as a 2D square, unable to conceive of up, and then gently flip the mirror. What if we, in all our three-dimensional confidence, were just Flatlanders too, blind to something beyond? It wasn't just what he said, but how he said it. Calm, articulate, and oddly serene, he explained the fourth dimension not like someone regurgitating a textbook, but like someone who had lived with the idea, let it settle into his bones, and decided to share it. There was a depth in his tone, a kind of emotional detachment, as if he wasn't trying to convince anyone, only to describe what felt undeniably real to him. The internet took notice. The video spread like a spark across dry grass. Science forums called him the next Carl Sagan. Teachers played the clip in classrooms. YouTube's algorithm quietly ensured that millions would hear him describe a reality they couldn't see, but somehow believed in. The shape of time. The brilliance of his explanation was how effortlessly it bypassed equations and dove straight into imagination. Viewers weren't just learning about physics, they were being asked to feel it. His framing began with Flatland, a novella written in 1884 by Edwin Abbott, in which geometric shapes live in a two-dimensional world. In Flatland, the idea of height is unthinkable, and anything entering from above, a three-dimensional being, would seem like magic, or worse, madness. The boy used that metaphor to gently unsettle our sense of certainty. What if our own universe is just another Flatland? From there, he layered on Einstein's concept of space-time. To us, time flows like a river. But Einstein's equations said otherwise. Past, present, and future. All moments coexist in a four-dimensional fabric. What we call now is merely the point we're moving through, like a needle threading through a tapestry. The boy's soft-spoken delivery made that idea feel less like science fiction and more like a quietly terrifying possibility. He didn't mention the Tesseract by name, but its shadow loomed in his analogies. Just as a cube is the extrusion of a square into a higher axis, a tesseract is a cube extended into a fourth spatial direction. One we can't perceive directly, but might glimpse in projections, shadows, or distortions in time. What made the explanation resonate wasn't technical depth, it was emotional clarity. He used language that bypassed skepticism and went straight to wonder. Watching him didn't feel like decoding physics. It felt like being granted permission to believe, even if just for a moment, that reality was far stranger and more beautiful than we'd ever been told. Vanishing into the abstract. For a while, the video lived everywhere. It circulated through science forums, Reddit threads, and high school classrooms. But then, as suddenly as it arrived, the upload stopped. His channel went quiet. No follow-up, no goodbye, no trace. The stillness was louder than any post could have been. Fans began to speculate. Maybe he'd moved on, grown up, gone to college. But others weren't so sure. A myth began to take shape, not just about who he was, but about what he had seen. Reddit threads bloomed with theories. One user claimed his account had briefly reactivated before vanishing again. Another pointed out inconsistencies in the original video's background, as if searching for clues in the shadows of posters. Some said he had been a prodigy, overwhelmed by sudden fame. Others, more imaginatively, suggested he had stepped too far into the idea he once explained, like a character from Flatland whisked away by a higher dimension. His silence became part of the mystery. He wasn't just a kid who made a good video. He became something more, a symbol of what it feels like to glimpse beyond, only to lose the person who showed you the way. And in the absence of answers, the myth only deepened. His voice became a kind of digital ghost story, one passed around not because of what he proved, but because of how deeply he made people feel the presence of something they couldn't name. The weight of returning. By the time he finally reappeared, the internet had changed, and so had he. The boy in the hoodie was gone. In his place was a young man, speaking not with the curiosity of a student, but with the measured calm of someone who had spent years in silence. The new video was subdued, the lighting softer, almost dim. He didn't address his disappearance directly. He didn't claim to bring answers. He simply spoke, and what unsettled viewers most wasn't what he said. It was the way he said it. His cadence was slower, his gaze heavier. Gone was the spark that once made the fourth dimension feel like a door waiting to be opened. In its place was a quiet gravity, as if the weight of the concept had finally settled on him. Some viewers found it beautiful. Others found it deeply disquieting. The comment section lit up with speculation, not about science, but about his emotional state. Was he okay? Had something changed him? Had the clarity of insight come at a cost? To many watching, he resembled someone who had stared too long at something the rest of us weren't meant to see. Another wondered if his long silence wasn't just a break, but a burden. No one knew for sure. But what viewers could agree on was this: the energy had shifted. The boy who once made the impossible sound inviting now spoke like someone who had spent too long staring into it. And then something remarkable happened. The conversation veered from mood to meaning. People began linking his quiet resignation to something profound: the cost of understanding. In this context, a real-world parallel emerged, adding weight to the metaphor. In 2007, physicists at Oxford University demonstrated a phenomenon called temporal entanglement. The idea that quantum particles can become correlated not just across space, but across time. This experiment showed that the future could, under certain quantum conditions, influence the past. It was a discovery so counterintuitive that it reshaped how physicists thought about causality. Time, like space, wasn't a straight line. It could bend, it could fold, and perhaps, as the boy had once suggested with eerie calmness, it could be experienced, just not in ways we're built to perceive. He didn't mention this experiment. He didn't need to. The timing of his return, the weight in his voice, and the subject of perception were enough to make it feel like something deeper was at play. The message people claimed he delivered wasn't written in words. It was embedded in tone, in absence, in the unknowable space between appearances. The fourth dimension within. As the mystery surrounding his return deepened, the conversation shifted inward. Viewers began asking not just where he had gone, but what the fourth dimension truly meant beyond physics. Perhaps, they wondered, it wasn't only an extra axis in space, but something far more intimate. Not a direction you move through, but a state you awaken to. Neuroscience, too, hints at this possibility. Our brains don't experience time the way clocks do. An hour spent waiting feels longer than an hour spent laughing. Memories are stored non-linearly, layered across networks that let us leap from childhood to tomorrow's anxiety in a blink. These jumps don't follow the flow of seconds, they follow meaning. And to some researchers, that's more than a metaphor. It suggests that consciousness may itself be a higher dimensional process, one that operates partly outside of linear time. Some psychologists have proposed that our awareness is a form of dimensional perception, not of length or height, but of possibility, narrative, and memory. The way we perceive life is not in frames, but in threads that weave moments into stories. In that sense, the fourth dimension may not be out there in space. It may be within us, shaping how we interpret experience. Even in quantum physics, this idea finds strange support. Experiments reveal that particles behave differently when observed, implying that consciousness itself nudges the unfolding of reality. Some dismiss this as measurement bias. Others believe it could mean that awareness is stitched into the universe's fundamental fabric. So when the boy once asked us to imagine seeing all sides of time, Maybe it wasn't just poetic abstraction. Maybe it was a reflection of something we already do, imperfectly every time we remember, imagine, or wonder what might have been. Maybe the fourth dimension isn't a place we'll reach. It's a perspective we slowly remember. Maybe the fourth dimension isn't a place out there, but the echo left when understanding changes us, like a shadow that doesn't follow but waits ahead. If that idea moved you, subscribe for more stories that bend the edges of reality. And tell us, what do you believe lies beyond?